podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hi, I'm Marcus Wyatt, skeleton athlete with Team GB. You're listening to Anything But Footy with the latest on the Olympics.
The Winter Olympics are underway, and we know who's carrying the Union flag for Team GB at the opening ceremonies on Friday. I'm John.
And I'm Michael, and this is the third Milano Daily from Anything But Footy, talking about the Olympics and Paralympics all the time, not just once every 4 years. And yes, you did hear that correctly, ceremonies. For the first time at these games, Milano and Cortina will have a cauldron each, and they'll also have a ceremony each.
Start crying immediately, but I'm in the middle of the dining hall, so I'm like trying to find a wall where I can just like shake and bawl.
I was quite blindsided by the news, and to lead such a inspirational and high caliber team into the Olympic Games is a real honour.
That's figure skater Lilah and bobsleigh pilot Brad Hall. Well, we guessed one of them, didn't we? Congratulations to them. We will hear from them and why they were selected.
Lindsey Vonn will tell us why she will ski despite a serious ACL. That's an anterior cruciate ligament injury. Ouch. But she's going to compete. And in our TNT figure skater, Kristen Spours will be telling me all about her Olympic debut.
We also round up the rest of the news from the Games. Away from the Winter Games, we have the latest cycling news and also baseball. This is Anything But Footy, a Milano Daily for the 2026 Winter Olympics. Download, listen, follow, pass it on to your friends. Tell anyone you know about the Olympics. We are here, and there are more episodes to come this winter.
I'm Elliot Smeeding, Team GB long track speed skater. You're listening to the latest on the Winter Olympics from Anything But Footy.
So one in Milan, one in Cortina. Quite apt for the first ever Winter Olympic Games in two cities. Lilah will be at the opening ceremony for Team GB, carrying the Union flag in the San Siro, and Brad Hall in the athletes parade through the centre of Cortina, the host of the Games itself back in 1956. Now Fear becomes the first figure skater to carry the flag since Christopher Dean in 1984. He did okay for himself. Along with partner Lewis Gibson, she's a World Championship ice dance bronze medalist competing in her second Olympics. And of course, their routine act for these games of the Spice Girls and the Scottish Proclaimers and folk songs show their real, true British spirit. Now, with 30 World Cup medals to his name, Brad Hall is the most successful men's bobsleigh pilot in British history. He's competing in his third Olympics and follows in the footsteps, literally, of Stuart Parkinson, the bobsleigh athlete who carried the flag 70 years ago in Cortina in Italy.
So you said that we got one of them right in our previous episode, because we did suggest that Lilah would be a great choice to carry the flag. We didn't mention Brad Hall. No. But what we didn't do was we didn't pick up on the clues that Eve Muirhead gave us in the interview. And the key one, I think, is she said that each sport would nominate one athlete. So clearly, from a skating point of view, they could only put one name forward. So if you listen to our previous episode, we'd suggested that maybe Lilah and Lewis would do it together. But under Eve's criteria, skating could only put forward one athlete. And that athlete obviously was Lilah. And then bobsleigh put forward Brad. And that's how then the decision has been made.
And of course, in Milan, all we've got from a Team GB point of view are British ice skaters. They could be speed skaters, they could be short track speed skaters or figure skaters. But ultimately, they all come under the ice skating, British ice skaters. Yeah. So that was their one vote, as you say.
Yeah, so it could have been Elliot Smeeding, long track speed skater. Could have been Niall Tracy. Could have been one of that record-breaking team of figure skaters. But it's Lilah. I think it's a terrific choice. I really do. Having got to know Lilah and Lewis a little bit over the past couple of years when we've been talking to them. First had a Zoom call with them when they were in a car and I was in a car. And that was the first time we properly spoke. We've spoken a lot of times since, met up on various occasions. And I think, Lilah and Lewis, brilliant ambassadors for the sport, for the Winter Olympics. We know that Team GB are looking for athletes that really live the values of what Team GB is all about. And Lilah does that.
I was just like flooded with so much emotion and honor and pride. And then keeping it a secret is so tough because I'm a chatterbox and it's such exciting news. So I'm proud that I've kept it a secret.
I don't know Brad as well, but I do know that you've been speaking to him.
What does it mean then? Flag bearer, Milano Cortina 2026.
Yeah, it's definitely a great honor and a privilege, I think. So, yeah, most of the time as an amateur athlete, you're just trying to make it to the Olympic Games. And now I'm at my third one, and I've been asked to be a flag bearer, which is something that I didn't really conceive of happening. So I was quite blindsided by the news, and to lead such a inspirational and high caliber team into the Olympic Games is, a real honor.
It's cloak and dagger, isn't it? Because you've got to keep these things secret.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I was told on Monday that I was going to be flag bearer. It wasn't officially announced to Team GB until last night, and now I've got to keep it secret from like friends and family and stuff like that until today. So yeah, it's a lot of that sort of stuff. So, but yeah, we've got a lot going on around the village and getting ready for training. So yeah, I was able to fill my time, so I didn't spill the beans too much.
What does it mean to you, and what does it mean to bobsleigh?
Yeah, it's massive. I think I was just saying earlier. I was just told earlier that in Cortina, the last Olympic Games here in '56, there was a bobsledder who took the who was the flag bearer in the opening ceremony. So yeah, to come full circle like that, but it's a real honour. I think one of my coaches was also the last flag bearer, Sean Olsen, at the closing ceremony in '98. So yeah, he was one of the first people to come up and congratulate me after the announcement. And it's great that the sport of bobsleigh is getting recognised on that sort of scale. It's been a long time since we've been able to be a flag bearer. So yeah, I'll do it with pride, and hopefully I represent my teammates as well as the whole Team GB in the best way possible.
How do you cope being centre of attention? Because there'll be lots of people have already said it, as you say. Sean has mentioned it to you, but they'll all be coming to you about how brilliant you are, your leadership qualities, your 3 Olympics, your 30 World Cup medals. How are you going to cope with the focus?
I'm definitely a lot more comfortable coping around like bobsleigh related things. Like speaking about being a flag bearer and all that sort of stuff is a little bit more out of my depth, because I'm normally tunnel vision focused on what I'm doing. But this is a great change, and for us, it shouldn't influence or impact anything. And going into our competition, we've still got nearly 2 weeks until we start, so it's a good start for it, and hopefully it gives me a bit of extra inspiration and focus going into the races.
And we know this is the first Winter Olympics over 2 cities with 2 cauldrons and 2 opening ceremonies, which means you'll be in Cortina and Lilah will be in Milan.
Yeah, it's just definitely going to be a lot different to what has been before. I was just saying, normally we're split up into a mountain cluster and more of a city cluster, but we'd always come together for the opening and closing ceremony. So to not have that sort of to be able to meet everyone, experience that all together, is a bit disappointing. But it's still going to be a great occasion. And yesterday we did the flag bearer announcements here, and everyone was on the Zoom calls, and so everyone was kind of interacting in that sort of way. So that was great to have, and hopefully we have a few more moments like that. But we still don't know what it's going to be like actually having the opening ceremony over 2 villages. So we're just going to have to wait and see.
Couple of questions to finish. Every Team GB athlete I've spoken to is enjoying the pizza at the moment in the athletes' village, particularly in Cortina. How is it?
Yeah, the pizza's definitely good. The fried eggs, not so much. They're a bit plasticky. But the pizza's definitely a good shout. Lots of meats and cheeses, as you can imagine. And there's a good variety of stuff. Pancakes as well. I had them at my 4 a.m. start this morning. So
Very nice, very nice. And obviously you've got the 2-man and the 4-man to come. But as you say, it's a couple of weeks away yet. But you're in good form and you're feeling well and the team are well?
Yeah, definitely. Well, we had 2 weeks off before coming out here, so that was great to have. We hadn't had much time off since we started the season back in October, so we're all feeling fit and healthy, ready to go. We had the first 2 runs on the track this morning, so starting the unofficial training runs. So we're looking forward to stepping up the notch and to keep progressing forward, getting ready for the races.
We can't wait to see you in action, and we can't wait to see you at the opening ceremony. Congratulations again. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
So that's John speaking to Brad Hall, who will be carrying the flag along with Lilah for Team GB at the opening ceremonies of these Winter Olympic Games. And just one thing I just wanted to mention as well on Lilah, certainly, and generally about these games is, as you know, I've got a 14-year-old daughter. How is she following these games? She's getting excited for these games. She's watching it on TikTok. So she is sharing with me and sending me the routines that Lilah and Lewis have been performing, the Spice Girls routine, this Scottish themed routine. That is how young people are consuming these Winter Olympics. And it's interesting. We'll hear from Kristen Spours, another figure skater, shortly. But what she was telling me was that the judges are looking for that bit of personality, and they are looking for routines that are just a little bit different, maybe a little bit memorable. And that, I think, works in Lewis and Lilah's favour, because they have become quite synonymous on social media and things. So although on the day you are judging on what you're seeing before you, your subconscious, I think, is suggesting, well, I know this, I've seen this, I know this is popular, this is being shared. And that hopefully might elevate Lilah and Lewis up into those medal standings that we've spoken about so often. The team will wear unique hand-knitted scarves and winter hats. Mine aren't unique. The ones I'm taking, they're from a well-known supermarket. They've been created as part of a collaboration between Ben Sherman and five-time Olympic medalist Tom Daley, a man who has also carried a flag at an opening ceremony on the boat in Paris 2024. And isn't it nice to see Tom keep him busy and, again, living those Team GB values that we've spoken about? Because Tom Daley doesn't need to still be getting involved with Team GB. I'm sure he's got a million other things, including being a dad, that he could be getting on with. But it's a unique pull, I think, having been part of that team.
And he certainly didn't need hand-knitted scarves and winter hats at the Paris Games, but did need a sou'wester, obviously. Maybe that was on. Maybe that's on standby for the next one. Just Eve Muirhead, the chef de mission for Team GB, said that both Brad Hall and Lilah Fear embrace our one-team culture with open arms, supporting and uplifting those around them. I think that probably sums the pair up, as we've heard from them in this episode. Good luck to them, and of course all of the athletes who will be parading their national flags. It's going to be interesting to see who does some of the others. This is Anything But Footy, our latest Milano Daily, and I'm feeling it this morning. You mentioned that your daughter's feeling it this morning with lots of social media stuff. I've gone old school. I've watched a film, so Eddie the Eagle. I've watched that in the last 24 hours. I really got into that. I mean, frankly, the British Olympic Association doesn't come over very well in that film, but it's a lot more modern now and a lot better, thankfully. But that was great to watch. I've done my first radio report for BBC Scotland this morning, and we had a bit of snow here last night as well. While I was driving home, it actually covered the cars. No, not quite as much as Cortina, which have had a huge dump, but it did. It was a good reminder that we are in Winter Olympic time.
On to our news from the Games, and Olympic champion Lindsey Vonn, on her return from retirement after 6 years, has confirmed that she's torn her ACL during a crash on the slopes in Switzerland last week. Now, we know about lots of footballers and other sports, men and women, that have done a similar injury. The American skier says, though, that she's still aiming for her fifth Winter Olympics. She is determined to race at the Milano Cortina Games, which start on Friday, and she'll compete with a knee brace if she can. Let's hear from her.
The Olympics are the only thing that I'm thinking about, and, every day my knee's gotten better, and, every day we're discussing with the full medical team, doctors, physios, everyone, to make sure we're doing everything to make sure I'm making smart and safe decisions. Of course, if my knee's not stable, I can't compete. But at the moment, it is stable and it is strong. So it's going to be an ongoing evaluation. There's, like I said, so far so good, but we have to take it day by day. But if it remains the way it is now, I think I'm pretty solid.
Lindsey Vonn, it was quite the news conference in Cortina yesterday. One of those big, lots of questions, lots of cameras, and she spoke out. And I thought she spoke really well.
It's been an interesting debate that I've been following on social media today about whether, and the word that was used about her decision to compete is reckless. Is she being reckless competing? And other people have countered that, going, look, this is the Olympic Games. It's not something that happens regularly. And certainly for her, you would imagine this is her last chance to compete at the Olympic Games. It reminds me a little bit of the same conversation, the same debate we were having about Noah Lyles in Paris, tested positive for COVID, but chose to carry on and compete. And I said at the time, I thought that was reckless. And some people, certainly some professional sports people and athletes, disagreed with me and said, that is it's the Olympic Games. That is your one big chance to showcase what you can do. And you don't get many other opportunities like that. So if the protocols are in place and the medical team say it's safe to go ahead, then why not go ahead and compete? And that's obviously the conversation that Lindsey Vonn and her team have been having.
And you can't catch an ACL, to be fair.
That is the other thing. You can't spread an ACL around a stadium like you could COVID in that stadium that we were all in at that time.
Yeah, and I mentioned Eddie the Eagle, and of course it was in that film about whether he was being reckless by competing and not really, being safe with some of those amazing jumps that he was learning to do. But as Pierre de Coubertin said, it's not about winning, it's about taking part in the Olympics. I think, look, Lindsey Vonn has come back on the circuit. She's won these World Cup races. She's obviously in form. She just wants to give it a go. And it's her decision, and it's the women's downhill on Sunday, and we'll know whether she does it or not. But she's been there before, and she's battled through so many injuries. I just wish her well. But she spoke incredibly well, and certainly one of the stories of the games so far. So tomorrow's news today, and other news from the games, because we cover the Olympics all the time, not every 4 years. That's still to come.
This episode is brought to you by Peloton. Introducing the new Peloton Cross Training Series, powered by Peloton IQ. Enjoy weekly workout plans tailored to your goals with personalized guidance. With weight suggestions to help you discover new strength and rep tracking so you never lose count. Try the new Cross Training Series, powered by Peloton IQ. Designed for your breakthroughs. Terms apply.
Hi, I'm Lilah Fear.
And I'm Lewis Gibson, and you're listening to Anything But Footy,
with the latest on the Winter Olympics.
This is Anything But Footy. Tomorrow's news today, our TNT section of the Milano Daily. So Thursday, day -1, as we talked about in the last episode. We heard from Chema, the Team GB snowboarder, and his love of pizza. I think we'll be asking all the athletes about what they think of the pizza. They certainly seem to be enjoying it. Also on Thursday, by the way, we need to mention this, 1:40 UK time. It is the first women's ice hockey match taking place at the brand new Milano Santa Giulia ice hockey arena. So this is the arena that everyone's worried about. It's the first match in the preliminary Group B between Italy and France. So a big time for the home nation, but also for organisers and spectators. So that is tomorrow on Thursday at 1:40 UK time. But because we're talking opening ceremony, as we know that Lilah and Brad are carrying the flag, we thought we'd look ahead to Friday on TNT as well, because there's so much sport to come and you don't want to miss any of it. So the mixed curling continues, as you know, with Great Britain in action against the Swedes at 9:05 on Friday morning, and then another afternoon match as well at 1:00 for Bruce and Jen against Korea.
And also the start of the team event in figure skating. So Team GB have competing in this for the first time. They have qualified a team. The USA, Japan and the Russian Olympic Committee were the medal winners 4 years ago, but no Russians this time around. So 5 to 9 Friday morning. So that's the 6th of February, UK time, at the Milano Ice Skating Arena. We'll have the ice dance, Lilah and Lewis. One, because we know Lilah is going to be doing the opening ceremony later on.
Yeah, it's going to be a long day and there's no way around that. And we're just embracing it. I think it's all about taking it 1 hour at a time. I think we're on the ice for practice at 6 a.m. that morning. And then we compete around 10 a.m. So it's a quick turnaround. And then we watch the rest of the team event. So we'll still be at the arena cheering on all of our teammates. But I think that vibe is so energizing and uplifting that it will be rejuvenating in its own way. And we'll really feed off of that. And then maybe, if I'm lucky, I'll have like an hour to maybe sort my hair out or put some makeup on and then get going and just really enjoy the rest of the evening and let it all in.
The team event figure skating, the pairs, the short program. So that will be Anastasia Vipin-Law and Luke Digby, we think. And then, of course, you've got the women's singles, which will be Kristen Spours as well, also taking place. So that is all something to look out for on Friday morning and throughout Friday before the opening ceremony. And Kristen, of course, is making her Team GB Olympic debut after a bit of a fractured build-up to these Olympic Games. But let's hear from her now.
My name is Kristen Spours. I'm going to be an Olympic figure skater representing Team GB.
Is this the culmination of a long-held dream for you to get to the Olympic Games?
Absolutely. It started 20 years ago at my local rink. My parents have driven me left, right and centre. I've travelled all over the world to be here in this moment. So, yeah.
What does it mean to you? And today we are speaking as you're getting your official kit. What does it mean to you to be part of Team GB?
It is just a lifelong dream. It's a moment that I have just dreamt of, and in the tough moments has really kept me going, thinking about kitting out and all these amazing things to go. So, yeah, and it's fantastic to be with such a great supportive team. I get to share it with my training partner, which is really special as well. So,
how did you start out?
I watched the first season of Dancing on Ice and I fell in love with the sparkles. So when I was 5, I begged my mum for lessons at the local rink, and then I started skating with my brother.
And what about the Olympics? What are your early memories of those?
I remember watching the Olympics when I was younger, and it was such an amazing event. And people always just talk about, whenever you do sport as a kid, they're always like, oh, you're going to go to the Olympics one day. So it was introduced very early. I'm also really lucky that my stepdad is a 2-time Olympian in athletics. So it's always been a part of my life, and it's something that I wanted to follow in his footsteps with.
You mentioned hard times, and you have had some challenges, certainly in the last year or so. So what can you share? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I've had a really difficult build-up. I struggled with the pressure of Olympic qualifying. It was a lot to take on, to know that my life had built into that moment to qualify. So that was a very difficult season. I skated very well, but behind the scenes it was quite challenging to cope with the pressure. And then very quickly after that, I ended up losing power in my left leg due to a ruptured disc in my back. And then I underwent surgery, which unfortunately did give me an improvement, but I haven't recovered full function in my leg. So it resulted that I actually ended up taking a step away from training, and I took a semi-retirement, very short semi-retirement, and then decided to make a comeback a month before the national championships to take my spot.
And obviously those nationals, you've qualified for the games, and then a brilliant moment at the European Championships, back on the ice with that huge crowd and backing you, of course, as one of the home hopes.
Yeah, it was such an amazing moment. I was really lucky to be able to have my family there as well. And I think it was a really enjoyable skate in that I went with less intention, less expectation. I just went out to enjoy skating for myself. I went there and I told myself I went through the tough times, I sat in the dark times, and I got myself through it. So I owed it just to myself to go out and perform.
Let's fast forward to games time. What can you tell us about what people are going to see on the ice? How does your competition kind of work, the two dances, and what are you going to be doing?
So for the women's figure skating, there's a short program and a free program. So the top 24 after the short program make it through to the free. The short program, we've got 3 jumps, 3 spins and a step sequence. You're going to see lots of sparkles, lots of glamour, some crazy jumps, some really cool tricks. And yeah, I think it's going to be a really exciting event. And there's lots of competition at the top for medals as well, which will be very exciting for everyone to watch.
What are the judges looking for?
The judges are looking for clean performances, so it's the quality in which you're doing everything. By the time you get to Olympic Games, everyone is incredible, so it's just about pushing the quality on things so the judges can reward that. They look for the enjoyment in the skater as well. They're human, they get carried away in the moment as well, so I think they look for a feeling that we give as well.
And I saw you in Sheffield, you seem to have a broad grin on your face for your entire skate, and that's important, is it?
Yeah, in Sheffield, I just really enjoyed it. I think I've always been someone that's massively chased results and scores, and I just let go of all of it, and I had fun for myself. And I think that does come across, and the audience can feel it, and it's a really lovely moment.
And we spoke there about what the judges are looking for at the Olympics. What are you looking for? What would represent a really good result or satisfaction for you?
I just want to be present in the moment. I'm not going to win an Olympic medal, but I always say that there's 1 Olympic gold, and then in the women's there's 28 other women that have fought like hell to be there. So I just want to go and be present in every moment and really be able to leave there thinking I had my Olympic moment, and that's something that I'll live with forever.
Because I think we've maybe forgotten a little bit in this era of funding and results and social media. Actually, to get to the Olympic Games is such a phenomenal achievement, isn't it?
It's so incredibly difficult to make an Olympic spot. When you think all the people that I went to Olympic qualifying with, and everyone was absolutely fantastic. And sometimes it's just luck of the draw, whether they're skating God's smile on you on that day or not. So, and there's a lot of people, like for me, I work a full-time job coaching as well to fund it. So there's so much work that goes in behind that as well.
We look forward to seeing you out there. Really great to chat to you today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Kristen Spours and Michael, and we'll be hearing more from the figure skating team in tomorrow's pod as well. Lots more Milano Daily pods to come, so stay with us on that. So in other news, away from these games, British Olympic champions Emma Finnegan and Sophie Capewell made it a GB 1-2 in the women's sprint at the European Championships in Turkey. It's been a successful time for British cycling. Anna Morris won the women's Omnium title as well.
And there seems to be some momentum in British baseball ahead of Los Angeles 2028. Can Team GB qualify a baseball team for the games in the USA? As New York Yankees midfielder Jax Chisholm Jr., who's played 576 major league games in his 6 years in the MLB, he's announced he's going to be playing for Great Britain in the 2026 World Baseball Classic next month in Houston. So we've mentioned this before. It's Great Britain's second appearance at the World Baseball Classic following their debut at the 2023 edition. I'd love to see Team GB in baseball. If you cast your memory back to 2012, and obviously as the host nation, Great Britain got basically a free pass into everything, didn't they? Which is why there was the big controversy over football, and we eventually got football teams together. But Great Britain were able to compete in things like basketball and handball and water polo. Which ordinarily they just wouldn't get close to doing at an Olympic Games because they're just not at that level. But as the host nation, they got to do it. And it was just brilliant. I just remember just spending time with some of these athletes. I think in handball was a guy called Stephen Larson, who had a vague sort of connection to Scarborough. His mother was from Yorkshire or something. Obviously, he competed out in Europe and Scandinavia. And it was just a brilliant opportunity for those guys to go and compete at the Olympics. And I know we're talking about the Winter Games. I'd love to see that we might get to the point where Great Britain could enter an ice hockey team at some point. I think we're edging closer to that. It might happen in the next couple of editions. So yeah, I think Great Britain could get to the Olympics and qualify, be there by rights, not just as a host nation. That'd be brilliant for baseball. And we've seen, haven't we, at the London Stadium, it's popular in this country. People will come and see it.
Absolutely. We can, as you can probably tell, we're getting quite excited. The Olympics is started. It's underway. The sport starts this evening. Milano Daily continues. Check out our socials, Anything Footy in the usual places. Make sure you're following us for that. We've got the Spotify Olympics music playlist as well, but we'll be back tomorrow with more. This is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy.
Hi, I'm Chris McCormick. You're listening to Anything But Footy with the latest on the Winter Olympics.